All right, we're going to jump into this like we do every week. Welcome to another episode of the Bladeology podcast. We are on this week with a catch-up episode. Myself, Jeremiah Burbank from PVK Vegas, and I've got Chuck here. Chuck?
Chuck Gudritis of Gudritis Knives.
Awesome. It is the two of us on. We were at the Blade Show in Texas this past weekend, and we are here to give you guys a wrap-up of how the show went. So, Chuck, how did it go for you? How was your travel?
It was a little exciting getting to the show. A little bit of a bumpy ride on the flight down. Arrived on Thursday around 2:30 in the afternoon, Texas time. Checked into the hotel, dropped my bags, went over to get my badge at the show, walked around the show for a little while, and just as I was getting ready to leave around 4 p.m., my phone went off, an alarm went off on it, and everyone else's phone in the entire place seemed to go off, and then some sirens started going off outside. I guess it was a tornado warning, and then the sky opened up, and it rained, it hailed. There was a steel electrical access cover in the sidewalk, right. One of those like 8-inch diameter round ones that came up out of the sidewalk, and water pushed it up, and a fountain came out of the sidewalk because there was so much rain.
There was an incredible amount of rain on Thursday. We were inside. Thankfully, we were inside the convention center, which seems like an awfully safe place. It is, after all, a giant UFO made of concrete. If you've never seen it, feel free to Google it. It seriously looks exactly like a UFO, and I would imagine it's like 12 inches of concrete thick. So I felt safe, but it was definitely alarming. Definitely when that NOAA alert goes off on your phone and everyone's phone around you goes off, it's a bit unsettling, especially when you look down and it says, there's a tornado watch. Well, that's not what I was looking for on a Thursday.
No. And I guess some of the flights that were trying to land in Texas ended up circling the airport for so long that they got diverted to Oklahoma City and Kansas City to refuel, because they had been in the air for so long.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I know for a fact that a portion of the Hawk Knives crew, they were circling and they closed the DFW, the Dallas Fort Worth Airport, so they had to refuel. That's how weird it got. It got pretty. It was basically totally fine, and then it was just violent weather for like 2 or 3 hours. So that was sort of an interesting interlude to the beginning of the Texas show there. That was very unexpected.
Yeah, unexpected way to start the show.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, hey, that's what happens. A little bit of intrigue and excitement from Mother Nature there. Not the worst thing. We all survived, thankfully. I don't know that there were any serious injuries at the show because of the weather anyway.
I don't believe so. I know my friend Kirk Mayberry had parked his car and was walking back to the convention center when the skies opened up and had to take cover inside of the Cheesecake Factory.
Nice. Hey, you know what? We were in the convention center. He was in the Cheesecake Factory. I think that's a win on his part. I mean, that seems like a great opportunity to grab a snack during a tornado. I don't know. Could be wrong.
Yeah, he had at least one beer, I think.
Oh, see, there we go. Good job, Kurt. Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect. All right. So Thursday we had some severe weather, but not terrible overall. It was great to roll into the convention center and start seeing everybody. You know, there's makers and a lot of people there on Thursday setting up their booths, getting their badges. There's like a little bit of extra electricity in the air the day before the show, because people are looking forward to the show to come and to see everybody. So yeah, it was pretty neat. Definitely, I rolled in and bumped into Josh Deutsch, who had, as always, a very impressive piece of wrist jewelry on. He had the titanium Rolex Deep Sea Challenge. So that was, I gotta say, that stuck out in my mind on Thursday. That was pretty intense, like the largest watch I think I've ever seen. Slash, it was extremely light because it was made of titanium, so that was pretty cool.
I believe it's the only watch that Rolex has ever made in titanium, and probably the biggest.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, the Deep Sea is already pretty big, but that Challenge is freaking giant. So yeah, that was neat. He always tends to show up with some kind of very interesting timepiece on. So, but yeah, Thursday was cool. Definitely running into everybody and getting ready was pretty neat. Running into friends, and then on Thursday night, it's always the day before the show. How much fun can you have?
Not too much fun, because you want to be able to go to the show on time Friday morning.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to be too pickled for the next morning. I think I called it pretty early on Thursday night. What time did I think it was surprisingly early, I think. I don't remember.
I think most nights I had turned in by midnight at the latest.
Oh, that's not bad. That's almost conservative at that point. No, that's not bad at all. And Friday morning, the first day of the show.
Yeah, there was a line of people waiting. I'm not sure what time it formed, but there was a pretty good line of VIP passes and early birds to get in. And the show opened at 10 a.m. and people literally came running in.
Absolutely. I think, if I remember correctly, I think I was surprised because there was the first wave, and so there was probably I don't know, maybe 50 or so people ran through the door. Those were the early birds. And then I was a little worried because it didn't seem like that many people got an early bird pass. So I snuck outside, and there was a massive line. And I think this is definitely one of the, maybe because it was the more traditional Blade show, less people got the VIP pass for early bird, and I think more people got the regular entry pass, because the second wave of people, I think, was larger. When I was there, I was like, wow, okay. The second wave seemed to be a lot bigger.
I agree. It definitely filled up much faster around 11 a.m. when I think the second wave was allowed to come into the show.
Yeah. I think at some of the smaller shows, certainly not in a negative way, but some of the 50-50 shows, some of Steve's shows, I think most people just buy the VIP pass to get in early. But this one, it definitely seemed like people sort of were waiting to get the regular pass. So yeah, but because at 11, it was pretty jammed. Definitely a lot of people in there checking stuff out, roaming around, finding the makers of their choice. And definitely doing some inspecting, some shopping of knives. How did it seem for you at the show?
It was great for me. I brought mostly Switch Army switchblades. I had one really fancy New England style dress auto, and a few odds and ends. I had a little neck knife. I had some other things that I brought to sell. And everything went pretty quick. I had one open bid piece that went till 4 p.m. on Friday. But other than that, I would have been done, by noontime with sales, with everything I had brought. And everyone around me seemed to do fairly well and sell out from what I could see. Tom Crine, Kurt Merrican next to me, Kirk Mayberry, trying to think of who else I saw. We got to see the custom Matt Diskin out the front from Kershaw collab that he worked on. Those were really nice. I especially liked the custom Damascus blades that he had brought on those.
Yeah. No, that was pretty neat, because I haven't held a live wire until the show. They've just been sort of very hard to get. They've been selling out quickly, and the normal lines that I get them from just are backward like crazy. So it was really nice to put my hands on one of those. They did, I have to say, Kershaw did a really good job manufacturing them, thanks to Matt's critical engineering choices to make the knife flawless, both functionally and aesthetically. It's definitely has a blade style reminiscent of the Launch 9, I would say. It has like that sort of bayonet, very pointy stiletto style blade, which right. So he did a series for the show that he hand ground out of Damascus, which was pretty neat to see.
Yeah, I think those are going to do really well for him. I actually liked them a lot, and his Damascus choices were great because they were all different.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Just a nice array of patterns and some really nice polished finishes on some of the Damascus, which you don't see. I think the one that John Gray actually got, that was my favorite, or maybe the one that Garza got was like a herringbone Damascus pattern. That was pretty cool.
The John Gray one had a lot of chatoyancy to it. That was probably my favorite one as well.
That was slick, and and they had titanium screws. So he did replace the standard Kershaw hardware with anodized titanium hardware, which is a nice touch. Definitely cool to see that. And Kirk also, Kirk sold out. I got a knife from Kirk. I think he was done pretty quickly as well, which is always good to see. You want to sort of see your friends do well at a show like that.
So, Friday went well, ended my open bid auction at 4, and then I was able to go walk around the show and talk to other makers and, people that you normally don't get to see. I think the show was kind of spread out a little bit. Makers might have moved their tables compared to where they were last year. But it was a great day overall on Friday.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, there was, I definitely bumped into a few people at the show that, I will go ahead and say I did not know they were going to be there. I do a certain amount of show prep, but I'm always it's always nice to be surprised at a show. And there were definitely some bladesmiths there that I missed seeing. I was hoping to see Ben Seward, but I passed by his table a couple times. He looked busy, didn't want to pester him. Kelly Vermeer, same thing, busy, passed, didn't want to interrupt any potential sales. But nonetheless, they brought some totally amazing pieces, some great hand forged Damascus fixed blades, which are really cool. I have a huge spot in my heart for that kind of work. Though PVK does mostly sell automatics and bally songs, personally, I think that there's definitely the Damascus Bowie thing is just, I don't know. Some of that Damascus it's flabbergasted, like the feather Damascus and some of the really super trippy and tropic patterns always capture some little part, and I'm like that is really cool.
Well, there's definitely a lot of Bowie knives at this show because it is Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. There's a strong right, and then that's the thing. So this show, Texas show, is technically it's two shows in one. It is Blade Show, though the show started originally as the Guild Show. The first show at the Stockyards was the Guild Show. Then it turned into Blade Show Texas last year and this year. So the Guild has a very, very strong presence there. In the tables, they sort of, as you're walking in on the left-hand side, it's the more sort of modern, tactical guys, and on the right hand side it's more guild oriented, and near the back there is suppliers and dealers, obviously. Always nice to run into Paul Farina and Carlos, and those guys always bring pretty exquisite pieces, some hugely engraved automatics and just rare items of antiquity in general, which I always like looking at, because it's stuff you really wouldn't see anywhere else, actually, unless Paul brings it out of I don't know, a sarcophagus from the other side of the world.
It definitely brings another level to the show. of antiquities, and people who are into knives are generally also into watches and other cool things, and so you get to see a blend of not just knives but all kinds of cool, interesting items, especially from Paul.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. There's always a good smattering of wrist jewelry in there, and certainly some pretty far out, super incredibly high end knives, which are totally worth it. Let's see, Friday, what else? Swung by, picked up knives from ProTech. Always great to see Dave and the ProTech team. Those guys are awesome. Super friendly. Always excited about the shows. I know ProTech did great. I think they pretty much didn't leave with anything. They totally sold out. Obviously to dealers and to customers, but I will bring up that I talked to Dave on Saturday, and he was extremely excited because he said that this show, in particular, the Texas one, tends to bring out more first-time customers on average than either Blade Show Atlanta or Blade Show West. He said that through Friday and Saturday in Texas, he met more people that this was either their first knife show or not their first knife show, but it was their first ProTech. So he was super excited about that. Always very happy to meet new people and new collectors to the brand, obviously.
I definitely agree. I did speak to a lot of people that Blade Show Texas was their first knife show.
Oh, there we go. That's awesome. That's what we love to see.
They did mention that a lot of the time they'd had a conflict for the Atlanta show because I had mentioned and asked if they had ever been there. And some of them said, with things going on in life, end of the school year, people graduating, things like that, they didn't necessarily have the opportunity to go to Atlanta. But this show being in March worked out perfect for them.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't even think of the end of school thing. I didn't even summer. I know it's right. Actually, yeah, summer vacation kind of thing. It's right in the smack dab middle there. So it there might be definitely scheduling conflicts, but it's always great to hear. I love meeting people, and it's their first knife show. I had a couple of great interactions in New York with people who just sort of saw it on their Instagram feed and decided to come in and ended up having a blast. And in Texas, the same thing. Ran into some individuals who, oh my God, it's my first knife show. Like, well, in that case, let me buy you a drink. Let me, what do you need? It's always good to see new faces and more than make those people feel welcome and in part of the community.
Absolutely. Saturday afternoon, I had the privilege of meeting one of the Boker reps that I've been working with, and he was able to bring me some prototype samples of my latest collaboration that Boker is working on with me that will be coming out and debuting at Blade Show in Atlanta.
Hell yeah. Okay. You want to spill the beans a little on that? What are we looking at?
It's going to be a slip joint, kind of a dagger symmetrical profile slip joint, coffin style handle, and it's going to have magna cut steel blades.
Nice. And
ambidextrous pocket clip.
Okay.
Which we'll be able to switch from side to side, and deep carry pocket clip as well.
Good call cool. On that.
Linerless, so micarta scales of different colors, and it weighed literally almost weighed nothing, like less than 2 ounces. So it'll be great for everyday carry.
That's killer. The linerless thing, right? I guess I held it and I didn't even make that connection, but it is super light. It's incredibly light, and I really like the idea of the ambi pocket clip. It's a small thing, but there are a lot of people who really appreciate that, and it's not a huge crazy thing to just put a pocket clip thing on both sides. Not a big deal, especially on a standard production knife like that from Boker. It's great to see them just a little extra mile there for the lefties, especially since it's a slip joint anyway. So it's two-handed opening knife. You don't have to worry about it.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be, sorry, you said canvas micarta. Did they tell you what is it? There was another micarta. I don't remember what you said.
There was a green canvas micarta and then one that like a blue jean micarta.
Okay, that was it.
And it was a great blue color. It wasn't too dark. It wasn't like a navy blue, but it looked like denim, essentially. So I really liked that. It was, something a little different than everything else that you see out there. And I think it'll be well received.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I dig the, right, we basically see OD black and carbon fiber, or natural micarta. So it's cool to see a little variation on a theme there with the denim blue. I like that. I'm looking forward to checking that out. And release for Blade Show. Did they? I know that's like an impossible one, but did they have any idea as far as pricing goes?
They did, but I'm not at really liberty to say, just in case that changes.
Okay. Well, we will definitely look forward to checking that out. And cool to see MagnaCut on a slip joint. There must be others. I just don't know. I know MagnaCut it's trending heavily right now. But okay, I guess I'm not going to say that this is the first slip joint with MagnaCut because I'm not in the loop on that. But I bet it's one of the very first or early slip joints to have MagnaCut from a large production company.
I would have to agree with for sure.
That's cool. That's very exciting. Congratulations officially on another Boker collab. How many does that make it now? Currently, it's there's another one. There's the Ice Pick, right?
There's the Ice Pick. There's the Pocket Smatch It. There's the Pocket Bowie that just came out. I believe there's going to be a fixed blade pocket version of the Pocket Bowie that just came out. The slip joint. And then I also submitted 2 prototypes at SHOT Show back in January that they've accepted and will go into production at some point.
Nice. I think I remember that, but I won't say anything. But I'm excited for that because the epicness is intense. So yeah. All right. Well, that's the way to do it, is to roll in there with those production collabs. That's an excellent way to get the designs out there and to get more knives into the hands of wanting customers who are in need of an amazing tool to have in their pocket. On Saturday, I was lucky enough to win a lottery at the Hawk booth, so I got me one of those fancy Blade playlists out the front knives I hear so much about. That'll be up on the website at some point this week, and I also picked up some knives from Peter Martin. Always a pleasure to see. He was in full regalia as we just passed St. Patrick's Day. And if you're not familiar, how dare you? Peter Martin's logo is a 4-leaf clover, which is embroidered on his knife cases. He made a beautiful auto for the show out of his own materials entirely, as is the way. So that will be up. And then I got a small manual from him as well, with splashes of mother of pearl. I love how he does that. A little mother of pearl in the back spacer and the front and the rear scale with his lava lamp Damascus blade, hot blued. I always dig that. And him and his son were there. And if you're not familiar, his son also is making knives. They had I'm not sure what you'd call it. So once in a while they get together, the both of them, and they build these outrageous folding knives. And he had one there, and it was actually unnamed, but it reminded me of the Megalodon piece they had at Blade Show. So it's just kind of this huge folding dragon knife covered in carvings. It had mother of pearl eyeballs. I'm sure there must be pictures of it somewhere on the internet, but seeing it in person was pretty great. It was huge, and it had a carved pedestal. That was really neat. Very, very interesting work from those guys. Always nice to see. They also had a little performance or like in-house machined quasi-production pocket knife. Not sure that terminology always gets a little tricky. People don't want to say mid-tech. So however you want to classify that as not being a mid-tech is what they have. So that's also really cool to see from those guys. So right on that one.
I did not get to see that piece from Peter, and I wish now that I had seen it. But I guess I'll have to do a little deep dive on the interweb and see if I can find pictures of it. But something I did see was a friend of mine, Jake Newell, who's an engraver and a teacher at GRS, was working on a Peter Martin engraved piece at the show. And the theme was a Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead skull. And it had multiple skulls. And the one he was working on looked like it was a Mokamegane skull that he was carving flowers around the eyes and all the intricate details on the face of the skull at the show. And that looked pretty amazing. Had some gold inlays. So that should be a piece to look out for in the future.
He does, as an engraver, he does great work, I have to say. I think he's it's always nice to see him actually set up. I think that also really engages people, customers, collectors, makers, everybody, to see him like working and engraving. You really kind of get a better understanding of just how physically and mentally painstaking the engraving process is. Just having to sit there on that terrible little stool with your face pressed into those glasses. It's just, I'm glad that he, I'm glad that he does it. I certainly would not volunteer for that. I know he did a deadlock for Gavin, which he was open bidding at the show. I was outbid, unfortunately. It was a beautiful piece, but Jake does a great job. So I'll have to look out for that. I'd love to see that Martin piece from him.
Jake and he stopped by my table to say hi, and we talked about how when he's demoing at the show, that people will come up to him and tap him on the shoulder or ask, mention his name. And we kind of came up with the idea that he needs like a bell for people to ring to get his attention. So that way, if he's in the middle of a cut, someone doesn't accidentally like tap him on the shoulder and have the engraver go askew.
Yeah.
And then he's going to fix his mistakes.
I didn't even think about that. Like, who in their right mind would tap that poor man on the shoulder while he was working? If you're that person, don't ever do that ever again. Like,
I'm sure it happens.
This guy doesn't look like he's doing anything. I'll just tap him on the shoulder real quick. Like, yeah, if you did it and he was deep in thought, yeah, and his hand moved, like, oh, you just messed up like $10,000 in engraving. Good job. I'm like, thanks a lot, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where the bathroom is? Go to hell, man. Don't touch me. Yeah, maybe like a light on the booth or something, where like green light, red light, don't pester me. Green light, like open for questioning.
Yeah, so I talked to him on Saturday, and then Saturday I also walked around and I bought materials. Maker Material Supply Company, who I follow on Instagram, posted some very interesting rich light material and some micarta that kind of looks like raindrop pattern Damascus. And some of the stuff I bought is also blue light reactive, so it glows like a couple different colors, like orange and blue when it's under blue light or black light. And so I also bought some stuff from Camo Carbon, which is his version of Carbo Quartz, which I am very excited to try out. It's actually got quartz laid up in between the layers of carbon fiber. So it looked very similar to Carbo Quartz, which unfortunately you can't get anymore. So we'll see how it works. I bought the black and red piece, which will probably be destined for a Switch Army Switchblade.
I was just going to ask. That's pretty awesome. That's okay. Yeah, no, that Carbo Quartz is gone, but the stuff from Andy at Camo Carbon looks pretty spicy. I saw it at his table, and it's always good to see Andy from Nail Pack, who's also, if you didn't know, that's also Camo Carbon. But that black and red is yeah, that's cool, man. That's pretty neat. Definitely looking forward to seeing that on a Swiss Army for sure.
And a lot of the other materials I picked up were brand new and just debuting at the show.
Oh.
So they will be on Switch Army Switchblades, destined for Atlanta. So I should have a lot of unique pieces for that show.
That's always neat. Sort of being at the release of a material at a show, and as a maker, I would imagine it's so much easier to just grab this stuff in person instead of shopping on the internet.
Yeah, because you can pick and choose the colors and the thicknesses that you want. And sometimes there's only a limited amount of it made, and if you don't grab it at the show, it might not even make it to the website if they sell all of it at the show.
Yeah, I can definitely I can dig that. I guess actually I've talked to the guys at Culpeper before, and I guess they've said that. They were like, oh, well, we just made these for whatever. We just made these for Atlanta. Like, that's it. Like, we're gonna sell out of them and we won't have them anymore. So I didn't realize that even the material suppliers make limited edition stuff for the shows. That's even more of a incentive. Everybody out there, get your butt to a knife show ASAP. Get down there. No excuses. Go on. Just get there.
I don't know if you remember, but about a year ago at the last Mystic show, you bought a set of these mosaic black lip mother of pearl scales. I showed them to you, and you instantly looked at me and said, make a Switch Army Switchblade with those.
Oh my God, I totally forgot that. I remember that exact thing, but I totally... Wow. Okay, good reminder. All right.
And so, there's no rest for the wicked. So I got back to work today, working in the shop already, and I cut out a blade for a Switch Army Switchblade, and it dawned on me that I could use those scales on a knife, but because of the way that they're put together, it won't be a scale release. It's going to be a magic knife.
Oh.
So it's going to be a Damascus blade and a Damascus bottle opener with front and rear Damascus bolsters on the handles and this black lip mosaic mother of pearl scales.
Okay, nailed it. That's okay. That's 0 to 100 real quick, as the kids say. That's pretty spicy, man. Okay,
yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. I picked out all the materials today and started cutting stuff out, and I've started cutting stuff out for some additional fancy autos that I'm going to bring. I cut out and heat treated 16 Switch Army Switchblade blades today, so it's been a busy day in the shop, but this is all prep work, so that way I can just concentrate on building knives for the show, especially with spring. Today's the first day, or yesterday was the first day of spring. But spring's coming, I got other responsibilities besides the show, so I'm trying to build as many knives as I can, so that way when fishing season starts, I can get out there.
I knew that was coming. Yep. Okay. Let's get down to the priorities here, okay, kids? Make your knives for Blade Show, and then do like Uncle Chuck. Get out there and fish. God damn it, get out there, okay? Y'all are like, oh, I'm grinding my blades like June 1st. Chuck's like, get out of here. I'm building knives now for Blade Show. That's preparation for you. Get to the shows, get your materials, get home, make the knives. Get it done. No excuses, right? No stop till ATL. That's right. Great.
Keep that momentum rolling.
I love it. That's very cool, man. I'm even more excited to see that magic knife. That sounds pretty good. And yes, shows. I always forget to do this. As a dealer or just as anybody, but definitely as a dealer, I forget to do pearl hunting at the show. And that's something that a few maker friends of mine are always like, go look for mother of pearl. Bill Touch in particular is always yelling at me to go look at the mother of pearl, the abalone, because you never know. Everyone is different. There's never enough of it, and no one ever got home and said, I have too much beautiful mother of pearl. It just doesn't happen. There's not enough of it. So, I did not do that in Texas. I should have gone pearl hunting. That's all right.
I did a little bit of that. I looked around. I went to Culpeper, to Mother of Pearl and Co., and they didn't have a lot to choose from.
See?
And I think
sparse
it's
out
getting
there.
harder and harder to get quality pearl, and not just in the thickness or the width, but the length that you need for particular size knives. So, these pieces are smaller and smaller that I can find that are quality, which means you need to put a front and rear bolster on your knife.
Yeah, the mother of pearl thing is, I was at an antique, total side note, but I was at an antique store a few weeks ago, and I was rummaging through a random bin, and I actually came across a whole pile of mother of pearl buttons from who knows how long ago. And upon first look, I was like, I think these are just plastic. But I whipped out my phone and magnified it, and underneath sort of the exterior tarnishing, I was like, oh no, these are solid pearl buttons that are probably about the size of some of them were the size of a Kennedy $50, and some were the size of a quarter. But they were more than thick enough for sort of dot inlays or whatnot. So I went up to the register and I was like, hey, how much were these old buttons? And then the lady there is like, how many do you got? And I was like, I don't know, like 20. She's like, why don't you give me $5? I was like, sold. No problem. Like,
do they already have holes in them? So
they have 2 holes in the center, the really tiny holes. And I was just like, you know what? I'll show them to you. I feel like there's enough material on there for maybe a small inlay or something. But again, same thing. I saw the pearl and I was like, you know what? For a couple of bucks, like I'm going to get these, which is also probably a really good way to find ivory, though you can't really technically refinish that stuff and use it. But if no one knows, no one knows. So, all right. Saturday the show was great.
Let's get back on track here.
Yeah, let's get back on track. We had a somewhat calamitous dinner experience on Friday. I won't get too deep into, but I made reservations at Del Frisco's across the street on Friday night for everybody, and I was very excited to go out, hang out with friends at this phenomenal steakhouse that I've been to in the past, and it was lackluster. Is that where are you? Lackluster?
Less than extraordinary.
Yes, very very less than extraordinary. This is all part of the Yelp review that Diskin and I will be having AI robots drop all over the internet in the next week or so. It was not great.
It's more than 3 hours of my life I will never get back again.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was long, underrated or no, overrated, and yeah, the whole experience. I was upset, and it was not great. So I guess if you're listening to this and you're going to Texas next year and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to go to this famous steakhouse, Del Frisco's across the street, maybe just go somewhere else is what I'm trying to say. There's better spots. How did your Saturday night turn out?
Saturday night, I had a surprise birthday party dinner with my friend Charlie Brock and his wife Jeannie, and Mandy and Chris Taylor, and Sean Ellis, who's an ABS maker, and Kirk Mayberry, and a few other people that I didn't know. But we went to this Mexican restaurant that was downtown near the stockyards, and that was a wonderful time. And then Kirk and I wandered around and visited a few of the establishments downtown in the stockyards, and made it a pretty early night because Kirk had driven to Texas from Tennessee, and it was about a 10-hour drive for him. So he got a really early start Sunday morning. I got to sleep in, and I headed to the airport around noontime, only to find out that my flight was delayed for 3 hours. Supposed to depart at 3:30 p.m., didn't leave till 6:30 p.m., and I got back into Boston at about 11:15 p.m. and got home about 12:20 a.m.
Okay.
Unwound a little and went to bed at about 1:30 in the morning. So it was a very long day on Sunday of traveling.
Yeah, because we flew out of and flew back to the same place And on Saturday, my flight was at 10:30. Yeah, I don't know. And somehow made it back into Boston at like, probably like 4 o'clock. And then, so this is funny. I realized from Instagram that you guys went to the Biscuit Bar in the Stockyards on Saturday night, right?
I didn't go, but I think Charlie Brock and Chris and Mandy Taylor went.
Okay. I thought I saw a picture of you at the Biscuit Bar, because then that's the exact same restaurant that me and the Hawk crew ended up at. We were wandering around the Stockyards on Saturday night, but it was a bit later, and we were like, we're trying to figure out where to eat, and everywhere was booked up because I was going to go to this place that Nick and Elijah had went to a couple years ago, and we were just like, we'll just go to this biscuit place, and we went to the Biscuit Bar, and we got like I got a breakfast sandwich on a biscuit, and everybody else got whatever, but it was just funny that we ended up in the same place, and then I looked on Instagram. I was like, that's where they were earlier. Okay.
I went there last year to the Biscuit Bar last year, and
okay.
I thought that was fantastic. It was a little bit of a hidden gem.
Sure. I can see that. I gotta say, I went in not expecting a whole lot, but when I got the loaded tots, I knew that shit was real. I was like, okay. Half a pound of tots with 2 pounds of melted cheese leg product and jalapenos. Like, yeah, let's do this. Let's dive in. We'll regret this tomorrow, but tonight it's going to be sweet.
It's part of everything being bigger in Texas.
That's exactly right. Yes. Yep.
Bigger tots and bigger other things afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'd say it was a good show. I was more than happy to be in Texas again. For the Blade show, to see everybody, to catch up with friends, to make some good buys.
Definitely looking forward to Blade Show Atlanta, though. I ran into Grace Horn Sunday morning when I was checking out, and she, in her most casual and polite British voice, reminded me that Blade Show Atlanta was 70 days away.
Yes. Yep. That's right. That's terrifying. That's the thing. So, right. Good segue to the yeah. So this Blade show and the next Blade show are rather close. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. It sounds like there might have been some scheduling conflicts, so people were more than happy to show up at this one instead of Atlanta. However, 70 days is not an incredible amount of time. Not that every single knife maker was in Texas, but still, as a collector or maker who was in attendance, it's a crunch to the next show, man, and it's Blade Show Atlanta, so it's the real one. It's the real deal. It's not anything else. It's not a dry rehearsal. It's the big
you have
time.
to bring your A game to that show because it's the largest show in the world. There's a lot more makers from all over the world there, and if you're competing for any kind of judging contests, you have to bring the best knives that you can bring.
Absolutely. Yep. Let me think. So what's our next show is actually technically Mystic, yeah?
Yeah.
That's
the end of April in Connecticut.
The NCCA Mystic show. I'll call that a hidden gem. That's great. Close to home. You can just drive there. Mystic is just great place to hang out. Good place to spend a day or two at a knife show. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's the 29th and 30th of April.
Heck yeah. I'm gonna bring the big guns this year when I go down there. I got to tell you, I got grandiose plans for some pretty serious media coverage of that show. So
you're walking around with your body mounted camera.
Hell yeah. I have a body cam, head cam, back of the head cam, wrist cam, cameras everywhere. I'll be interviewing fools all over the place. Mostly, I hope there's a couple people on my list. So that's why I was asking you about exhibitor list, is because I want to try to interview, and I have to ask him. I don't know if I'm hoping that Richard is coming to this show, because I would really like to get a video interview of him with some of his knives or whatever he has with him. Because
Richard Reich's usually there. George Daly,
yes,
usually there.
Yep.
So maybe we can get him on camera.
That'd be great. Because I keep pestering him, but he's extremely reluctant to come on the podcast. which can be tricky. Sometimes people don't, there's a lost connection. They don't. I think a lot of people are like, well, who gives a crap about my story? And I'm like, well, but it's important, man. It's part of history. Come on. Get on board.
Provenance, so that way when you're no longer with us, that way you can tell your story and tell us how you got into making knives and he's got a great story. He used to be a jeweler. He used to work for Tiffany, and he's been making knives probably longer than I've been alive. So it'd be great to hear his story and how he got involved in all of that, and some of the other makers that he knew that he used to hang out with, influenced him, that inspired him. Part of the New England school of making switchblades.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I got to get on him at the show. I'll see him and pester him and do my best to convince him to come on here.
Well, I've known him a long time. I'll put in a good word for you.
See? There we go. All right. I got that in. Thanks, Chuck. Cool times. All right. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to go over about Texas?
I think you picked up a couple of knives from me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I bought knives from Chuck. I have a pair of Swiss Army switchblades that I'm excited about. They're actually in photography today, so those will be they'll probably be up on the website either Friday or I might wait till this weekend to post them. So they have their due, and I'll have to do a video as well about them. That's I'm always happy to have more of those. I love them. I think they're great. So keep an eye out on the gram, and you'll see the knives I picked up from Chuck.
I think that was a pretty good recap of the show, of the events in Texas. Do this again for Mystic.
Absolutely. Mystic is next. We will see you guys there. Come on out. If you have any questions, feel free to just put NCCA Mystic into Google machine, and the internet will show you the way. Until next time, I'm signing off. This is Jeremiah from PBK. I'll talk to you kids next time.
And this is Chuck Gudritis from Gudritis Knives.
Bye, everybody.